This is Gemara Shavuos Daf Yomi Ches, and we're holding on Yud Zayin Beis. We pulled up a drop early at the two dots, about 20 lines from the bottom. We'd like to once again have all the learning be an incredible Zchos Refuah Shalema for Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva B'Seich Shar Chayle Yisrael. And we quote the next part of the Mishnah: Zui mitzvah seisha b'mikdash ein chayavin alav. This is a mitzvah saying the Beis Hamikdash. Which mitzvah seisha b'mikdash? And if one becomes tamei while he's in the Beis Hamikdash, he's chayav, the obligation to leave. It's a positive commandment, but there is no carbon. But when you say zuhi, it's this. Well, what's this going on? So says Gemara, zuhi. What is this going on? Answers the Gemara. Hasam kaya mishan haris. Says the Mishnah over there. Ein chayavin al asay v'aloisei shemamikdash. You're not chayiv for a say and a loisa asay. Stomat Sanhedrin is not chayiv. Ein mivin ashatol asay v'aloisei shemamikdash. But they are chayiv, and again, this is Sanhedrin paskins incorrectly, but they are chayiv of a chayav and al asay v'aloisei shebenida. Mivin ashatol asay v'aloisei shebenida. Bezdin paskins incorrectly, Sanhedrin, and thereby requires someone to be over Rachman al-Islam at some level in Hilchais Nida. The halacha is that the Sanhedrin is chayiv a asay, a lois asay, and there is an asham tali. And that din that over there is where there's a chayiv of Nida, but not a chayiv of Mikdash. V'ka'amar, in our Mishnah, Zui mitzvah shem Mikdash, ein chayavin Allah, you're not chayiv on it. So now that we brought up the din of Nida, says the Gemara, what is this din of Nida in the Mishnah is that the peasant would yes be chayiv. And really the bulk of today is going to be focusing on this din in Hilchos Nida. So let's just get it clear. A man and wife are having a ma'aseh tashmish, everything is fine. And in the middle of the ma'aseh, she says, Nitmesi. She says, I've been peiris nida. She says, I'm bleeding. And of course, when she's bleeding, she's a nida, and they're not allowed to be together anymore. But what does he do? Upiresh. He right away pulls out from her. Miyad, right away. He's chayiv. Why is he chayiv? He pulled out right away. The coming out is pleasurable. And therefore, he's chayiv. Period. Now that case, the fact that he's chayiv for coming out, that's going to be mamish the whole daf today. Itmar. Chayiv shtayim. There's two times one can be chayiv for being boil anida. What? Chada knisa, chada prisha. One for going in and one for going out. Now the question, of course, is to be chayiv a carbon, it has to be a shayig. Can't be amazing. If you do an avera purposefully, there's no chiyuv carbon. So Havibai Rabba was pondering and wondering, Bimai, what is the case that you're going to be chayiv a carbon two times? Elema, if they were together, samach levesta, which we're going to learn at the end of today, the makar for samach levesta. But a vest is a woman's expected time period that she's going to see dam. And the husband and wife are not allowed to be together in proximity to the time that she's expected to see dam. And let's say they are. Ubeman. Then what? So Bishlam Akanisa L'chayiv, why? What's the shoygeg? He knows that it's Samach Levesta. The shoygeg is Kasavi Achalni level. He thought he could do a Maisa Tashmish before she sees dam, and unfortunately it didn't happen. But Ela Prisha, but then the coming out to Chayiv, why is he Chayiv? Mezidu. Why is he amazing? Zok Rashi, he's a Talmud Chacham, and he knows that being boiled with a nida, of course, is us. And he also should know that being boiled, and if at the time of Tashmis she sees down, what is he supposed to do? He's not supposed to pull out right away, because then there's a no. Rather, he's supposed to wait at Sheima's Haver, and then he didn't do that. So why you chayiv a carbon? Says the Gemara as we turn over to Yechesam and Aleph. So okay, maybe it's not a Talmud Chacham. Viva Amaretz. Rather, you're gonna tell me why we're talking about Amaretz. ID, but then why are you chayiv too? There were two acts, and one act of forgetfulness, and then the halacha is that Rashi quotes you should only be chayiv one. Who? Okay, so maybe the case is not Tamul Levesta. It's not Samach Levesta. Should be chayiv anything. Akinisa being boiled with their eyes. You have no way to think that you would see dam. So why is he chayiv? Va'abrishan on coming out. Amazing. Nachamal. He's amazing because he should have known he should wait until his aver his mace is no longer erect. Iba ma'aretz. Nachamal chayiv. Chadu d'machayiv. Abrisha should only be chayiv for the brisha. So says the Gemara, Hada Amarava Laila, you know we're talking about Levesta, Ubi Tamachacham. But Tamachacham Nazu, Vein Tamachacham Nazu. He knows the halacha that one is not allowed to be with their wife, some Levesta, but he does not know that if he is, then she sees dam, he has to be Bayrish Beaver Mace. Oh my Rava, says Rava, Vitar Vayu, and both of these dinim. The din that you're chayiv a carbon for the kinisa and for the yitziyah is taninu their mishnah is kinisa aninu brisha danino tekatani, as we just quoted misham shematayr b'amlan to bisi b'yirsh miyad chayiv kinisa tanina nimsal shaloi. If he finds dam on his aid bedika, he checks himself, he wipes himself after tashmish, and he sees blood on it. Tameim, b'chayavin carbon, because that means that there was dam at the time they were together, and therefore the chayav carbon. So we see, now for the kanisa you're chayav. Says the Gemara, my love, your samach levesta v'kanisa. That's what it's referring to. Rav Adabar Masler Rava. No, I'll tell you it's b'shalai samach levesta v'abrisha. And it's for the prisha. V'chitim or prisha lamali. Why do you have to tell me the din of prisha? Hatanale, we already knew. Hatanale, we already knew it. Hatzalashi, you know what has to teach me? Nimsal shalah tameim b'safik u'betur min carbon. If she does a bedika after tashmish and she sees dam, halacha is yes, they're tamei, but there's no carbon. Why is there no carbon? Because we don't know bivadai the dam was there at the time of the tashmish, because there was a time period in between the tashmish and her checking herself. So they're patur min carbon. And because we said that halacha by dividing misa nimsa al shalah, tananami nimsa al shaloi. Amrli Ravina the Ravada, mimas is lokmi blahi b'shaloi samach levesta v'aprisha. Can we say that we're talking about it's not near the vest and the rechiyav is for the prisha? What's the problem? V'hanimsa katani. It says that he found the dam on the eid bedika, on the cloth. V'nimsa, what does the word find mean? Find is that you didn't know about it. L'basar achi mashma. That means you found it afterwards. But via brisha, if during the Ma'aseh Tashmish she says they've seen dam and he pulls out, so meikar kikabarish meikar avla yadia. When he pulled out of her right away, he knew at that moment that what? There was a yadia. He knew that she was tamei. So says the Gemara, how could that be the case? Amrle Rava. Sayis ma'idika amar Rabach. Says Rava, you gotta listen to what the Rebbe is saying. Let's look at Rashi. 4 lines from the medium-sized lines. Amle Rava Ravada. Sayis ma'idika amar lecha Ravina Rabach. Delay be prisha matzis lokmi. That we're not talking about the prisha. So says the Gemara, Hechi matzis tetani Allah. Zui mitzvahs asay shebenida shechamen aleh. V'misa mitzvahs lois asay. Based on what we're saying, it's not a mitzvahs asay, but rather, if we're talking, as Rashi again fills in the blanks on the Kenisa, going into her, then it's a mitzvahs lois asay, and it's not an asay. Amar le itanisa chaser v'tani hachi. It's a chasuri mechzer of a hachi katani. We have to add in some words. So mitzvahs lois asay shebenida shechamen aleh. That's the hakdama. This is the mitzvahs lois asay. But now, that zui mitzvahs asay shebenida. That's a mitzvahs asay in nida. That wraps up the 2 taninas. But now, Amar, let's go a little bit deeper. We've been talking about the whole daf today. Pirish miyad chayiv. She says, I'm tamei, and he pulls out right away. What's the halacha? The halacha is chayiv. The halacha is there's hana. Says the Gemara, but what else is he supposed to do? Amar Rav Huna Meshei Rav, I'll tell you. No, he says this. He should dig his 10 fingernails into the ground. Ad sheyimois, until he has an aver maze, till he loses his erection. V'tayvya, and it's good for him. That is the way he's supposed to act. As Rashi points out, Yamin Atzmai B'loi Disha, yes, the mamish freeze. At Sheyimos Eiver, V'Tuvia Zvasherav, and it's praiseworthy. Zui Atoy V'loi. Amar Rava, back to the Gemara, Zoisei Meres. From here says Rava, if we're learning that if you're Piresh, if you ever mace, your potter, so says Rava, I'll tell you a Meir Chedish. Hamishamish meis barayis. If someone is together with a woman that is usher to him, but b'mace, with an aver mace, with not an erect aver, he's potter. Why? Why are you potter? Misham Dainisu, I'll tell you. Well, the Ainisu then kibersh mi yanami nifter mi Ainisu. Then even if he was parish right away, bever achai, it should be the same thing. So Amrle Abaye, I'll tell you. Lo milcham Hashem Yisrael Chayiv. Says Abaye, no, you went too far. Really, you're mishamish mizbarayis. You are a chayiv. V'chamay time a potter misham Dainisu. Ay, v'amir, you're gonna ask me kibirish miyad. And my chayiv shay livers b'anamu etes. Pirish b'anamu meruba. Says Abaye, you went too far. Enochanami, avada, there's some level of ana. Of course, it's at some level pleasureful, even be'ver mace. But says Abaye, it's whatever amount times less than an aver chai, and that's the reason why you have to be parish be'ver mace. Amar le Rabba bar Chana le Abaye mkein matina rucha ksur benita. If what you're saying is true, we find a fascinating din. Says Rav Ada, Rabbi Bar Chanan, and Rashi articulates, the difference between long and short. That what? That if he stays inside of her and he waits, even Macy's potter. But if he does what? If he comes out right away, he's going to be chayiv. What's the kasha? What's wrong with that? As we turn over to Yud Chesem and Beis, says the Gemara, Vanan, but Mikdash Tanan. But we learned this concept of Arucha and Ketzara by a case of Mikdash. You can tell me in the base of Mikdash how you have to leave, etc. So why don't they say it by Nida? Says the Gemara, the two are not comparable. By us, the Arucha is potter. You stay inside her, you wait for Aver Mace, you're potter. In the case of the Mikdash, Arucha, you wait in the base of Mikdash while you're Tameh, it's going to be Chayiv, and therefore they can't be learned together. Masla Ravuna Beidiram Nasa, Naisira Nabaya, Omi Amrabaya Inesu, Alma Bishla Bishach Vesta, Kamrinan. If Abaye said on the bottom of the health that it's going to be an Ines, that means it's Shla Bishach Vesta. I Abaye Dermachayiv Shtahim, Alma has me Samuel Vesta Askinon. Says the Gemara Kizmar Abaye, Ba'alma Itmar. Abaye wasn't referring to our case, it's referring to Stama case of Yitzi of coming out of a woman once she's Pires Nida. Bai, Mine, Rav Yonatan bar Yosi ben Lekunya, or Rav Shimon ben Yosi ben Lekunya. 10 lines down, the first one line is Yosi Ashayla. Azhara l'bayal nida minay min atayra. Where do we know that one is not allowed to be together with a nida? Shakal Kalai picked up a clod of earth and Patak Bay. He threw it back at him and he said, Azar l'bayal nida. What's your shayla? It's a straight up pasuk in Vayikra. Vel isha b'nidat tamaza loy sigare sigrav. You can't be asking me that. There's no way that's your shayla. Ella says, no, you're right. That wasn't his shayla. You know what his shayla was? Azhara, the case that we're talking about, the Mishamishem Atahira, Va'amra Lay, and she says, Nitmesi, he should not be buried right away, rather, Shreifri for Mace. Where do we know that from Minalan? And on that, Amar Chizki, Amar Cross says, the Torah Vatini Dasa love, Afilu Bishasni Dasa, Teo love. Says the Gemara, Ashchana say, it's a positive commandment that even when she is an Ida, Teo love, you should be with her. Of course, can't be with her when she's in Ida. Means you have to wait for the Aver Mace. But Loisa say, we know, and where do we know? To Loisa say, Amar Abhab, Amar Kra, Loisik Rav, Loisik Rav Nami, Loisifrashu. The word Loisik Rav can mean Loisifrash. And that's what we're going to learn, that if she becomes an Ida during the Maisa Tashma, she has to wait. Tanu Rabbanan, wrapping up all the dinim that we've spoken about today. What do we learn out from Vizhartem? Amar Rav Aisha Mikana Sar B'nei Yisrael. She burshim in the same Samuel Veston. They have to separate from the wives near their expected time of the period. V'kama, and how much is that? Amar Rabbas Aina, 1 day night time period. Amar Rav Yechon Misham Rashbi. And this daf, it's not the daf for Lag Baimer, but it's being recorded on Lag Baimer. Says Rav Yochanan in the name of the Heilige Rashbi, Koshena Pirish Meishtay Zamal Levesta. Someone is not Pirish from his wife near her time of seeing Afilu Avnabonin Kibbening Ara, and you could have incredible kinder, Barachman al-Islan. Mason, they're gonna die if it came via Maisa Dashmish at a time she was supposed to see her period. The Chsev is out to be Neisame Tomasa. The Hidra Bini Basa, Samachle says, Achre Mais. Amar Achev Rabba. On the flip side, if you actually listen to Chazal, male children, and on a similar vein, of you have children that could pass another way to have banim zecharim is haying Abdullah on wine. Machlekes is just means stam. Means dafka yain, not grape juice. Say the havla ben hakodesh ben achol. Say also havla ben atom ben atar. V'samach leisha kisezriya. Shimon Levi Amar banim ru'yim lahayra. They'll say the havla lahayris. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Yefes Amar Rav Lazar Kol Mekadesh as Asa b'shas ta'ashmish. Finally says the Gemara, if even b'shas ta'ashmish, which of course is a physical act, but if one is mekadesh himself, he acts b'ofen sonua, says Rashi. Derech tznius. That as well, Havilon Banim Zacharim Shnember Viskadishtem Isim Kedoishtem Mesamach Le Isha Kisazriya. We'll pick it up from Rev Eliezer B'siyata Dishmaya.